All right, welcome in everybody. The official regular season of Bully the Board meetings are in the past. The book is closed. We are now in postseason edition. As always, it's your boys Seth, Kevin, and Steve with you. We have a lot of shit to
Trauma.
get to. It's been a fair word, man. Fair word. My God. Interesting week 18, and we're going to get into some futures, how that all played out, Circa update, and as well as a playoff week 1, or I guess week 19, depending on what you look at. Look ahead to what the model has here. So, without further ado, let's break this shit down, boys. Where do you start with this one? Seth, what out of these 4 games, just specifically on what the model had spit out, because it was a relatively I don't know, I want to say chalky, but it was a funky weekend overall in the NFL. But for the 4 plays that we had here, what sticks out to you?
Yeah, I mean, my trauma, as Steve said, wants to blame Lovey and the Houston Texans for fumbling the number 1 pick. But honestly, that was a Jeff Saturday loss. That was a cover because I believe it was in the 3rd or maybe right at the beginning of the 4th. The Colts kicked the field goal and there was an offsides call, and Jeff Saturday said, "You know what? Let's go for it. The points were, I'm not exaggerating, the points were literally on the board and he took them off. And if those points just stay on the board, we don't have to stress that, that drive. They win, they cover, we go through, we go 3-1. We have, last week is profit. But of course, in this season's fashion, that's what happens. So as bad as I want to blame the Texans, that was Jeff Saturday. That was the Colts doing what the Colts have done. The Colts have screwed us out of a couple of different wins. So that's the biggest takeaway.
Steve, was that a bittersweet? Sorry, was that a bittersweet bad beat for you as a Bears fan?
Yeah. Here, listen, to Seth's point, we talk about doing this whole modeling thing and how we're transparent. Let's be transparent, right? We put in all these different, statistical variables and whatnot to predict outcomes, but there's something that you can't predict. You can't throw in, certain subjective, emotional things like that. And the number one thing you can't predict is the fact that Chicago loves Lovey and Lovey loves Chicago, baby. Listen, Lovey Smith is
so much he lost his job
hero. Listen, Lovey is a folk hero. A folk hero. You cannot tell me there's any reason for the Texans to blow the number 1 pick, not just by winning a game, mind you, not just on a last-second heroic touchdown, but to go for two for the win. And the fact that he got fired, he had to know that this was coming, right? Texans have been on, I think this is like what their 5th one and done coach in the last whatever years. So he knew that, and he went out with his heart open to the city that showed him so much love. So is that a bittersweet? You take it. It sucked. Don't get me wrong. I lost money on that bet, but my heart is full. My heart is full.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that game is the betting aspect of this was, I was like, go when he's like, they're gonna go for 2. I'm like, okay, like, get this, because if they get it, then the Colts have to try to score. So at least like maybe a Hail Mary touchdown, and then you like backdoor. But of course, that didn't happen. But oh man, it just is like one of those things that just didn't need to happen. I mean. I think that kind of storyline sums up this season, where we were on the right side of so many picks, statistically, game score, like actual game structure, how these teams are winning, in some cases winning by 3 scores, and they somehow lose in the last seconds. I mean, it's just crazy. But as bad as it hurts us, the guy that was in the Circa Survivor, he lost $2 million on that play. So
I feel
it'll be worse.
I feel misery loves company, I guess, in this respect. Talk about a
Lovey should have to pay that man $2 million. I mean, since he's going to get free rent in Chicago, I mean, that's the least he can do.
I was saying, how about the Bears pay him?
For real.
For real. There you go.
Yeah.
But,
we were gonna have the salary cap space. We got money to blow this year. Listen, I'm not gonna say this is our year because Bears fan, but no.
It honestly could be.
Yeah, but one quick point I was gonna make in this is the microcosm of just the wildness of this season. And I forget if we mentioned it last week. And maybe we'll try to figure out, see if there's some way to incorporate how this translated to certain metrics or not. But NFL record this year, 64 different starting quarterbacks.
Yep. No, this does play a role. This does play a role because what happens is we adjust our numbers for starting quarterback. This is one of the things when people are like 60%, like people are skeptical. This is one of the variables that gets us to that number. It's highly predictive. But guess what? When you throw in double the amount of starting quarterbacks that would, now, of course, you don't usually have only 32, but to be a little bit hyperbolic, you double the amount of starting quarterbacks, at 2 for every team. That throws variance into the data. When you're only modeling one season, you only have 8 and 7 games respectively, or sorry, 9 and 8 games respectively for home and away. So you have very few observations. So if you cut out 3 or 4 games per quarterback, that's a big deal, and it incorporates and adds a lot of variance. And what did we see? Insane variance in teams and how they played and how they performed week to week.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Speaking of variance, though, the other loss on the card this week, the Cowboys. I mean, this one was they just straight up got embarrassed. I think. Yeah. By the Commanders, and it wasn't even Carson Wentz. It was Sam Howell. That was wild.
The GOAT.
Yeah. I guess so, man. But so that was just a bad game from start to finish. Cowboys looked terrible. There's really not much to break down on that one. I think it was just bad from start to finish.
Do you guys think if you're a first year gambler, or this is the first year you're paying deep attention to the NFL, are you going to be like so messed up that you think rookie quarterbacks are good? You have Purdy, Sam Howell, Sam Ellinger did all right. Who else did we see this season? I mean, we had a fair amount of either rookies or first year starters that didn't struggle.
If that's your angle, that rookie quarterbacks are going to play well or not, or be all right, etc., then yeah, you might have a hard time next season.
Yeah,
any season.
I don't really know the data on it. It's just something I thought about. Like this year is kind of really weird for quarterbacks. Like, what was the game where Russell got the concussion and I think it was a first year rookie came in and he did pretty well. Like, and they had that Broncos offense kind of humming. So it was quite interesting there.
I think the bad lesson learned from here is going to be, you probably don't, if you're a first year gambler, you probably don't think quarterbacks matter at all. I mean, because think about, to your point, right? Brock Purdy killing it. Remember Cooper Rush killed it to start, right? Teddy Two Gloves won a couple of games. So it just, I wonder if you just say, it doesn't really matter. The teams are the team, and you just kind of gloss over that important fact. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. Interesting.
We all know there's a difference between winning and covering.
Right? Yes.
The crux of it, or the actual meat and potatoes of this, is whether or not rookie quarterbacks can cover.
And the other, you said a historical season, and you're right. For quarterbacks, is also historical. The most one possession game endings in history. So the amount of games that were one possession, not or less, but ended by one possession, was this season. So I mean, those are two very big historical things, to your point, that are really important for covering. So
just
to happen in the same season concurrently, that's wild.
Yeah.
I will say real quick before we move on, I do want to say I'm going to make a clip. I'm going to get it together for you guys. Speaking of historic first, this was an historic season of bad beats for us. I want to get a clip. So I think it was it week 4 or 5? We had like that ridiculous. It was one where the Ravens blew like a 30-point, or
week 2.
It was week 2. It was even earlier. Yeah. So we had like 4 that week alone. I'm gonna make a clip. I gotta say over under. We had what
10. I think the over under is 10. It's at 10.
9.5.
I mean, just think Colts in the last 2 weeks. Colts and Dolphins last week, or for New England not covering because the Dolphins. There's 2 in the last 2 weeks. I can think of 4 from that week. Week 2, there's 6. I mean, that's not even without even having to get nitpicky.
Yeah, I would say my line would have been 15.5. I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
I'll pull them. Stay tuned, guys. I'll pull them.
Okay.
We want the receipts.
All right. Yeah. Next, we're gonna have to get a little more granular. Next time we'll do like bad beats. Maybe on this guy.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't win it, and it was a fucking bad beat. Like that would be something. But
For real.
all right, the other two though, they were, dare I say, sweat free. I mean, Niners got surprised for like the first 2 minutes after Arizona scored that one fluke freak touchdown, but then they just rolled thereafter. Yeah. So that was straight. And then Cincinnati,
that game was weird.
That game was weird. I didn't get to watch it live, but they seemed to be
they pulled all their starters, but they were handling. But then like it got tight. I mean, there was a chance where it was a little shaky. I was like, oh, chalk it up to another bad beat, because I think they ended up winning by 11, and the Ravens had the ball one last time, and they were like actually trying. And I'm like, and then you know how it is at the end of the game. Like if you're a defense, like you're kind of trying, but you're really just trying to get clock. So yeah, you give up a touchdown, you're still gonna win the game. So, but yeah, it ended up working out. But yeah, man, the Colts one just hurts because we were on the right side of that bet.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. 100%. So 2-2 for week 18. So down slightly in terms of units. But should we? I don't even know what to do here. We came down to the last week, week 18. Again, I think I kind of said it last week. That's in some respects the most you can hope for is being alive, having a chance to pull out some of these.
Well, I'll take it a step further. More than to hope for. I don't know if you guys did. And you can hedge out a lot of these, hedge out and lock up profit for a lot of these. And I think I did. I was able to lock up profit for all three of these bets. So I mean, if you can get it down to the last week, you can still you can lower your upside, but you can lock up a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I didn't end up doing it. I know I texted you guys say that. Oh, I think I'm gonna take a money line parlay of Bills who are playing Patriots, and then who was the other one?
Carolina.
What was the other one? I took Carolina. Yeah,
Carolina money line plus 155. I took for 400, and then I took Bills money line 500 to pay 133 bucks.
Oh yeah.
But nice. Again, I made money. I locked money up because we were getting a lot of hate on this. I mean, one, people were like, Bengals under 10 wins. Are you crazy? Like, all right, show me your futures tickets, please.
Right.
And then two, if you're using a model and you get to the last week and it's up to a coin flip, by the way, if it didn't come down to a pick, Saints are going to kick a field goal, probably win that game, and that goes a very different way. So, margins are thin here, but yeah, I don't know. Interesting season. I mean, there were two, or I guess there were technically three coaches fired in the regular season. Our model identified two of the three. Bad teams, right? Saying these teams are going to underperform. You tell me how Carolina fires their coach and wins 7 games. You tell me,
right?
And gets rid of their best like offensive player.
Exactly.
Oh man. So it was. I mean, whatever. The Bills game. Which did you guys see that in real time when he returned it for a touchdown at
opening kickoff?
Yeah.
That shit was
wild.
That shit was absolutely wild, man. I mean, I think Josh Allen said it was bone chilling, which I was just sitting on my couch and I was like getting the chills, man. I was like, there's no way. Gotta love sports, man. You gotta love sports
for sure. That was a cool moment. That was
the opposite of that was. I don't know I think it was the Steelers defense. Somebody got a sack and they did the resuscitation celebration dance. I'm like, bro, of all weeks, not this week, bro. Not this week.
Or the Green Bay game. The guy pushed the trainer. Did you guys?
I saw
the all the weeks, dude, they're already gonna probably eject you, but of all the weeks you're gonna push the trainer, this is the week. Like, dude, this ain't the week. This ain't the week. And then his homie comes up behind him, like hits him, like, what you guys gonna do? Jump this guy? And it's just like, oh man, but you're just like, of all the weeks you're gonna do this, this is just not the week.
Mm-mm.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I still have a lot of hope for the futures model. We'll run it again next year. I mean, we talked about this in the past, a little bit on us on the operation of the model. Like, it legitimately was 0.01 games on the edge for New England because they got a new offensive coordinator, and we weren't sure, like, okay, like, is it not? Like, now we know, yes, it was. Mm-hmm. And that was really, a lot of it. But, like, we're like, okay, let's just keep it in because like it's so close, like probably. But and what did we say? It came down to that Raiders game. If they win that Raiders game, this thing cashes.
No, yeah.
So
yeah,
right.
They shot themselves in their foot.
Several times. We could do a dedication of Bad Beats just to the Patriots alone, probably. As far as the futures model goes,
they've underperformed.
Yeah,
big time. So 1-4 overall. We look forward, like you said, Seth, to we'll run it next year because we have faith.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some efficiency stuff real quick here. Basically, the quadrant of elite, as we've sort of aptly named it, is Jags. So who is not in that quadrant that is in the playoffs?
Minnesota
Giants,
Fins,
and the Dolphins.
Yeah, and then if you want to say Kansas City, but I would say they're so offensively efficient that I would put them there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and really neither of them are that incredibly far off.
And where are the Bolts? Where are the Chargers at?
The Bolts are right. They actually look like they're part of the Vikings. They're right. They're sticking out of the head. They're right behind them.
Yeah.
And
is that a first round? Is that a first round matchup? Is it?
Yeah. Actually, we're going to talk a little bit about it, but
Bolts and Jags. Yeah.
They've both made big moves here. I mean, so right now the number one net team is so using 1 through 17, so without week 18 is San Francisco. I will imagine next year or next week when we run the numbers, just right now the way the code works, we don't have week 18 in it, but I'm sure Kansas City, because they were so offensively efficient in that Raiders game, I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of battling for first right there. But but quadrant of elite's interesting, and then we kind of see Tampa Bay. I don't know. I don't know. People are calling for Dallas's head. If we go to the 4-week show here, Dallas has taken a step back. And
they have.
And not like you can see that for the Eagles as well, but we have some explanation, right? In the last 4 games, 2 of those games Minshew started. What do we have for Dallas? Like we don't.
What's your excuse?
Yeah, this is just Dak is not playing well, and that offense has not been efficient. I mean, the defense can only bail you out so many games, right? And so many plays. I don't know. We don't have a play in that game. Our models say that number is right at 3, and we've now seen it move from 3 to 2, which means money came in at 3 for Tampa Bay. So I don't know. That one's interesting. But the last 4 weeks, the Bolts and Jags there. I mean, interesting.
Moving on up. Yeah, very. I mean that might be the sneaky best game of the weekend.
Yeah. What's your guys' take with Chargers leaving starters in? For a meaningless game, they win or lose, they get 5.
I saw that going around on Twitter for a little bit, and I was like, "What?" Because I didn't have the game on here, so I was just like kind of following along by proxy and stuff. And I don't understand it. I mean, I don't understand it. I think it's you end up potentially costing yourself a
Mike
lot
Williams
more than anything that you gain. Exactly. He might not be he might not be available this weekend, man. So I struggle. I don't get it. I think that was dumb.
Yeah, I'd say the only thing I can think of, and it's a ballsy move, and clearly it backfired, but the only thing I can think of is you haven't had your whole team healthy for so long. Maybe you want to get those extra game time reps, but at what cost, right?
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I can think of.
We haven't, in my recent memory, like this week 18 is so weird because players play a couple drives and they just get pulled. You don't see them like having these. It was like a battle. Felt like a week 15 divisional matchup, like that meant something when you're like, this is a meaningless game. Like this means nothing to you. And it means so much to Russell and the Broncos because they've struggled all season. And
I know. And I was pissed. I was pissed for like 3 quarters. I'm glad the Broncos put up a fight because that means the Cardinals got to jump them in the draft order. But I was like, son of a bitch, Chargers! Like, get your guys. I was pissed for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was just interesting. And Staley's like notorious for being like super analytics and super analytically driven. So I don't know. Maybe there is some analytics there. We're just not, being able to connect all the dots because we don't have all the information. But nonetheless, they're getting hot. Jags are getting hot. Kind of sucks that they're playing each other. I'd like to see. Yeah. It would have been nice to see those teams not, wreak havoc. And then this season of all season, I had this kind of theory floating around in my head. Have we seen so much chaos this season that the playoffs are just going to be so boring, and it's just going to be like San Francisco rolls, Philly rolls. It's San Francisco versus Philly, and then it's going to be Buffalo, Kansas City, or Kansas City Bengals, and then like we're not going to see any of the games because like just the efficient teams are just going to show. Yeah, like this season was wild because other teams just like couldn't do anything, and the teams that could, we're just going to wreak havoc. I don't know. I've just been interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We'll see. We haven't. I'd have to look back and just kind of shoot from the hip on this one. But how many games have we seen where the quadrant of elite teams are facing off? The Bills and the Bengals, the Bills and the Chiefs.
AFC's had the most because the Bills. Well, we didn't get to see Bills Bills Bengals.
Bengals,
we didn't see that, but we saw
Chiefs played the Bills. That was a good game for my recollection.
And Chiefs played the Bills. So we've seen Bills,
and Chiefs Bengals too, right? Because Bengals beat them again.
And Chiefs Bengals,
yeah. So yeah, that's not. I understand where you're coming from on that one. I mean, just the opposite could be true though. I mean, it could be like this.
NFC, both Cowboys Eagles games, the starting quarterback wasn't starting for each team. So Dak was out the first time, and then Hurts was out the second time. So we haven't really seen that matchup.
Then we saw Green Bay 49ers, but I think that was with that was when Green Bay wasn't doing very well, and I think Jimmy G may have still been in at that time.
I think Jimmy G was still in. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting. As we've always said, Vikings frauds. I mean, you could see they're a little bit offensively efficient.
They pulled a good matchup for them.
Did they? I don't think so. I think they can lose. I think we're going to talk about it, but I mean,
they could. They could, but if you pit them against anybody else in that division,
true.
I'd be hardcore fading them. But yeah, you're right. We'll get into.
I'm hardcore fading them this week.
Yeah. This is we got per play.
I think Dayball should win the coach of the year. I think he literally took.
He might.
He took a turd and shined it to like a playoff team. We haven't seen anybody do that in a long time, in my opinion.
What about Doug Peterson? Duval?
Yeah. I guess you could argue that. I guess I feel like they had more talent. It was just a horrible coaching staff. Like
the Jags had the number one pick last year.
Yeah, but they had it the year before. Like you know what I mean? Like they were, Trevor Lawrence is good quarterback. Like I don't know, is Daniel Jones the guy? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. All right. So sorry, I don't know if you guys wanted to get into anything on the per play EPA stuff.
Just Carolina. Like look at are you kidding me, Carolina? And the fact that what are we doing? I don't understand that. And the question I guess I'll pose to you guys: is Sam Darnold the one?
Yeah, I you know what, he's earned a spot though. I mean, because remember, it was supposed to be Sam Darnold's team even before they brought Baker, or before they went back and forth with Baker.
And he got hurt.
Exactly. So if anything, he's earned a spot next year. Let's put it that way. But yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, maybe he can do some kind of Renaissance man or something and have another shot. Have a second coming, so to speak. But I don't know, man. I mean, they outperformed expectations relative to what happened this season. Coach fired, traded CMC,
agreed. Totally. But here
stuff,
is
but
not.
Does that mean he's the guy?
This is play-by-play efficiency. So you're seeing where they're equally efficient as Kansas City on offense. I mean, now obviously some of this comes from the run game, but I mean the notorious Sam Darnold thing is like he's chaos. He sucks. He's going to turn it over. Like, so at minimum, if all the efficiency came from the run game, he didn't screw it up.
Fair.
So interesting. And then the other thing that stands out in the 4 week is I think this is 4 games now with Tyler Huntley, and you see how the difference between the efficiency on offense, and if there's no Lamar this week, this game is going to be ugly in my opinion.
For sure. I don't make one point real quick though. I just want to say, look at we're not talking about this, but the separation, the pure domination of being shitty with the Chicago Bears. That is listen, I know it's not the quadrant of elite, but that's elite play. That's elite bad play.
No, that's elite tanking. This is they had really solid first quarters, and then they shut it down as well. They should. And guess what? The Texans should take notes. This is what it looks like to do that and then get the number 1 pick. This is what it takes. This is
the Bears did something right, man. The Bears did something
yeah.
right. They should be celebrated.
Yeah. And I will say, I know you guys talking about, is it Peterson, is it Dayball, but Lovie Smith should be the coach of the year. Lovie Smith, coach of the Chicago Bears, while coaching for Texans.
Walter Payton, man of the year for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, you guys better get him assistant coach or something. Like, you need a roster spot on that team. And then I guess just to go back, like, the Tampa Bay, like, ultimately, we're not going to talk a little bit anymore about them, but like, everyone's like saying, the Tom Brady effect, the GOAT effect. Like, yeah, Dallas is, playing less than stellar, but I don't know, man. This team looks old. They look slow. They've had a couple good games, but when you pull back the curtain, you just take the whole season. This was a pretty poor offense. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting playoffs. I'm excited, but
yeah, me too. I'm most excited for the Tampa Bay Dallas games, interestingly, but also the Bolts and Jags.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really good matchup.
Yeah.
All right, so Circa contest is officially over. They don't extend it through the playoffs, so I believe we fell short of some lofty goals. But what ended up happening, Steve? How do we where did the chips fall?
Yeah, so season long standings, we finished 3,146. Now, again, you got to take the fact halfway through we decided to tank, and because we were closer to the bottom than we were at the top, because there's prize money at the bottom. Then we started getting hot, so then we untanked the tank. We Texans is what we did. We went for 2, and so we were in the running. So every quarter they do quarter rankings and standings for prize money, throughout the year. So we had a fourth quarter. We actually started off pretty strong. We went 3-2 last week, ended up going 15-10 overall for the quarter, which led us at 300, tied for 315th. So the number 1 spot, so we had 15 points total. The number 1 spot for fourth quarter had 20 points. So we
were only 5 games away.
Yep.
Which is one game a week, or
how many?
A little bit more than that.
Yeah.
How many people tied for last place or first place in the quarter? Either one.
First place in the quarter. So 2 people went 19-4 and 1.
So 2 people are splitting 25. Okay.
No. So the fourth quarter is boosted, so they get 105,000 each. And get this. So big shout out. Chief -3. Chief 3, I'm guessing Chief's the guy, and it's his third bracket he put in or whatever. Chief -3 won the fourth quarter first place prize. Well, he split it, and also won the overall number 1 spot for most of it. So they ended up getting 1.1 million. 1 million for overall. Yeah, it ended up at 59, 26, and 4 for 61.5 points. Number 2 had 61 points, so half a point over the course of the whole year.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that record? He was 59 and what?
59, 26, and 4. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, actually, it says 59, 26, 4, and 1. I'm guessing what they did was they probably gave like a half point canceled game for if you had the Bills Bengals pick. Because I don't know why they'll still be that extra dash, but yeah, so 61.5 points. So yeah, we had a strong fourth quarter, which I think tracks. We had a little more stability, got a little bit of a better thing, but yeah, it was a fun experience though.
Yeah, I agree. So maybe we'll do it again next year. Maybe we'll do something different. I don't know, but I'm glad we did it. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, even though we had a losing record season and all the wild shit that happened, again, like we were 5 points away this quarter from being first spot, and we still. Points wise from the number 1 spot, we really weren't that bad, and we were trying to tank for a while too. So the model really did pick up in the second half. So I'm with you guys. I was pretty excited to see that.
Yeah, we'll have to maybe the survivor pool would be cool to do. I mean, I've never actually done one, but the model giving the confidence intervals may be a way to
figure out how to leverage that.
Yeah, cool.
Week 19, week 1 of the playoffs, baby. Look ahead here. So 1 official play on the card, Niners minus 9.5 here, and then a couple of live lines to watch. Not quite yet. They might be attainable, or maybe they're not.
They weren't a couple days ago.
I haven't looked today.
I haven't looked
Okay.
today. Yeah,
I haven't looked
exactly.
today.
The Jags line moved to 2 from 1.5. So
okay,
I know
so
it
these
was
are
right
not
on the border.
Yeah, so these are not the live lines to watch are not consensus lines. So you would at the moment have to buy points. So that's why we just say potential
Hey,
in-game
Steph,
scenario where you can grab these.
Yeah, sorry. Hey, where's the Giants line at now? Do you guys remember?
It's still at 3. It's been stuck at 3.
Okay. Yeah, that might be one. I just personally, just the Vikings are frauds, man. That
Yeah,
might be
look,
one I might pull.
Look, so yeah,
Double dip.
exactly right. I ran the numbers. If you want to have 54% confidence, the number is 3.6. So it's right there. It's right there. I mean, so if you just want to do it from a pure value standpoint, you can totally, I believe 3 is like right on the board of being plus EV. If you can get 3.5, it's a plus EV bet. I'm trying to pull it up now. 5.5 is minus 159. So it's like it's close. It's close for us. But
did you say earlier that you already locked this in, or you already faded them?
No, I haven't. But I'm definitely going to bet. I'm
okay.
definitely going to bet New York here.
Got it. All right. All right. Well, let's.
I think I'm going to be smart though, and bet with my head here. I think I'm going to try to get the 5.5. Because when the spread's already right there, all you got to do is have the Vikings start with the ball, and then they get scored a touchdown or not. And then if the Vikings start with the ball, then you just either take the line as it is, or pay the juice, or if you have confidence that,
right,
it's going to go your way. But yeah, I'm going to try to limit loss.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll get into all these individually here in a sec, but let's dive into the Niners or Seahawks at the Niners here first. So, in terms of EPAs and efficiencies, DVOAs, does anything jump out to you guys as to that would suggest otherwise that the Niners can't cover here and can't handle this?
I mean, other than it's divisional, not really. For me, this one's tough. Now, you don't want to get too used to these like crazy spreads, and like you can't see any world in which these teams lose. I mean, these are the playoffs for a reason, so they play the game. It's just the defense for Seattle. How do they stop one of the most efficient offenses? This is the thing. This team got a great defense, but they're very efficient offensively. Purdy in that Shanahan offense, he's just getting better every week, which makes me believe that this game plan is still going to probably look different than when they played them 2 or 3 weeks ago, whenever that was. So even though this is Purdy and a young quarterback, I think that he's evolving, and that allows Shanahan the offense. And Debo played last week, so they're going to have him healthy. They have CMC. They're still getting him up. He hasn't been there the whole season, right? It's just hard to envision what's your game plan for Seattle. Like, what is your attack where you're going to say, okay, we failed here. Let's do what? Right. What is it that you do?
Yeah. And we pointed out, or I think I noticed it when we were shooting a clip for the only metric where Seattle ranks ahead of San Francisco, and it's by a relatively sizable margin, is on special teams DVO rankings. And
so they're going to kick field goals to death? They're going to punt them to death?
I mean, no, not kick field goals, but and this doesn't necessarily translate to, I guess, quote unquote, crazy plays, but they're going to have to pull some trickery out on special teams, fake punts, fake field goals.
Yeah. And
stuff like that.
You can see a world where if you can somehow give Geno time, he has 2 of the best wide receivers in the game. So you can see how if you're Seattle, you're not going to just die. You're going to try here. But the problem is the linebackers and the front four get so much pressure. Is that feasible? And if not, then what do they do? I don't know. I'm not surprised the model sees this. Now, I will say this. The model is seeing only Purdy do well. It has no data at all that Purdy sucks. It thinks Purdy is, if Tom Brady is Tom Brady, it thinks Purdy's better than him because it only has games where he's dominated.
Right. Well, but to that point though, I think I agree. I think Purdy's evolving. He's getting more comfortable in the pocket and with the playbook, right? And so he can do more and whatnot. But I don't think he needs to do a lot because of how efficient this team is. And then you go back to the EPA graphs. San Francisco is in a league of their own defensively, right? And
Yeah.
so my fear with this is, on one hand, Seth, you mentioned it's a divisional game, and it's really, really hard to beat teams 3 times in a row in the same season. It's really hard, right? But if San Francisco jumps out to a touchdown, 7 to 10 point lead, and Seattle gets a little antsy and has to flip the script, and San Francisco those rushers can pin their ears back because they know they have to pass, what do you do? I mean, listen, I've been a big Geno critic, and I have to eat my words, because he's bald, right? But man, if San Francisco can get a lead, I don't see how you can overcome that defense and that efficiency on offense. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's a fair point. I mean, we know the defenses are less predictive, so from a modeling standpoint, but that's where they're in the quadrant of elite. This
right.
Okay, so then it's a shootout. Pick your poison here. I mean, we saw that score get away in Washington and in Arizona games, and they piled it on offensively and defensive scores.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
maybe you don't look. Maybe Geno doesn't turn over the ball, but then again, we saw what happened last week with the Rams. This is not an efficient offense or defense with the Rams. This is just not. So it's hard. This one's hard. This one's hard to not have too much overzealousness of like, oh, of course, like, yeah, easy. I mean, it's football. And we've learned the hard way this season. Any game where you're winning, you can lose, and vice versa, especially this season. So I'm not surprised that model has it, but I don't want to get too confident.
Yeah, I had a quick question. So, Kevin, you brought a point about the DVOA, the special teams, and I truly don't know this answer, so I'm asking. Part of that DVOA rankings for special teams, I'm assuming field goals definitely are a part of that, but in terms of like weightedness, like how much does it actually weigh into that? Because I only bring this up because does Seattle have in part a higher DVOA ranking because they have more points via field goals, where San Francisco doesn't kick field goals because they're scoring touchdowns, right? Just looking at Myers is the top. I think he's a top 5 in terms of field goals made, but I don't know, like it's the versus Robbie goes in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Not that he's missing more, but just he's not attempting as many.
Yeah, I'm not sure. From a net standpoint, we're talking about the 20th EPA net versus the number 1 net EPA team. So
sure.
Just get rid of special teams, those EPAs are only offense and defense. So those are only run and pass plays for offense and defense. So we're talking a pretty big difference in in net EPA and then overall individual offense and defense EPA. So Seattle is 1.2 points better than average on offense, and they're 2.8 points worse on defense. San Francisco is 5.45 points better on offense and 6.4 points better on defense, meaning they give up 6.4 points less than the average team, and they score 5.4 points more. This is just a better team. This is just a more efficient team. And now we have anomalies. We saw San Francisco lose to Atlanta. We were on the wrong side of that, right? So this team has had hiccups. They're far from infallible, but when you're modeling this stuff, I'm not surprised that it picks this team.
But I can hear it in your voice. You are definitely reluctant to be as confident as the numbers might suggest. So
because it's just we were talking about this earlier. Like,
you are traumatized. Just say,
I said this last week. If you had me bet that the sun's going to come up tomorrow, I'm reluctant. I'm like, I don't know. But just not, it was at 10 and now it's at 9. So that means that money came in on 10. I mean, the market's not mature yet. We're recording this Wednesday. We still have time. It'll make me feel a whole hell of a lot better if this thing closes at 10.5. If that happens, I will have, but I've ran this number with only DVOAs. I've ran this number with DVOAs and EPAs. I've only ran it with EPAs. I've done all of that with adjusted quarterback. The lowest I can get a model to get this number is 11. So.
Okay. Well then, hey, I guess, yes, temper your enthusiasm, because if this season has taught us anything, it's to do just that. But I feel pretty good about it, relatively speaking. Okay, a couple live lines to watch games. First one here: Jags +5.5 versus the Chargers. So I haven't had a chance to digest much of these figures yet. But if I want to check out what do we say the current market is?
2
plus 2.
+2 for the Jags. Yep. It was at 1.
Okay.
It was at 3. Then it went to 2.5, then to 2, then to 1.5, and then now back to 2. So I think the market's divided here.
I was going to say, let me start with that. What do you think what does that say to you guys about the market and valuing each of these teams with that opening line?
I don't know if the market really knows what to think, because we haven't seen this Chargers team, a lot of this Chargers team, fully healthy, and so the potential is through the roof. And then you have a Jaguars team that is, they're a feel good story. They went literally from worst to first in their division, right? And so it really will be pretty interesting to see how this shakes out. I just, as a fan, I'll tell you, I'm gonna love this game. I hate that this game's happening in the first round. I hate it. I hate it. I would love to see this game round 2 or later. These are two good teams that I think are gonna make a lot of noise. It would have surprised a lot of other teams, whoever they would have faced. But one of them is going home in the first round. It sucks.
Yeah, I think what I make of that is that the early line was 3, so I think a lot of people see value at getting a close matchup at 3. So you get a field goal, and I think in a 1 possession game where basically the true line is probably 0, 3 is insane value. So that got bought up. Then some people see still value at 2.5, then 2, then it went to 1.5, and then people, same logic. Well, now you can make an argument for value being at 1.5 on a field goal. If you're on the other side, now it gets bought back up. I wouldn't be surprised if this closes at 3, 3 or 2.5 or something like this. Like, I don't know. Our models show that Jags are the play here. If you want to, traditionally follow through with what we've been looking at the whole season, we want 60% confidence intervals or prediction intervals. It says 5.5 is the low number. I think you probably, I honestly wouldn't mind taking a money line, to be honest. I think if between the two, if I can't get 5.5 before the game, money line maybe there. But yeah, I'm with you, Steve.
Okay.
Like, this sucks. This is kind of blow our load. Week 1, like,
I know
this is a good team, and the other thing too is both these teams could have caused chaos. Like we could have seen both these teams beat other teams, and so I don't know. This one's interesting.
It is, and I'm completely non-biased since I hold a Chargers futures ticket.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
If the Jags lose by the field goal from kicker the dicker, or dicker the kicker, sorry, I said that backwards. Oh man, that would be a-okay with me.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I forgot about that. I think it's worth like $60. Upside. I think it was $3K. It's worth 60 right now.
Yeah. I placed mine on Caesars, and they're shit about cash outs. I haven't been able to cash out it even once, or haven't even had the option to, rather. So I'm letting it ride as long as they'll let me.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then last but not least,
fade them.
We got some shit to say here. So Giants plus 5.5 against the frauds of the year, Minnesota Vikings here. So
I mean, look at those numbers. Look at those DVOAs. It's 27th total DVOA, and then when you adjust for the defense, it goes from 27th to 28th. It gets worse. It gets worse.
Yeah, it's pretty astounding. I don't know, Steve. This says more right about the Vikings than it does the Giants. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it says they are who we thought they are, all year long. And it's that they've been playing up. We talked about before we had them on our picks. They were 11 and 0 at that point in time for 1-score games, and the miracle comeback win against Buffalo with the fumble on the goal line, et cetera, et cetera. And we saw this. We saw this play out before. We had the Giants Vikings 3 weeks ago or something like that, where we had
Christmas
Giants. Yeah,
Christmas.
yeah.
And if it wasn't for a block punt, the Giants probably win that game.
Yeah.
So can they block a punt again? I don't know. Maybe this is God's team. And look, I'm betting against God then. I don't know what to tell you, but this is a fraudulent team. This is a fraudulent team.
This is one where I definitely will. I'm going to try to scoop it up if we can get it 5.5. But personal bet, I'm taking it.
Yeah,
I'm not waiting for 5 to lock something in. Yeah.
So a non-adjusted EPA line is that Minnesota would be favored by 0.9 points. Okay. Okay, but an adjusted line, not for quarterback, but for DVOA, takes that line from basically a pick 'em to -3, meaning they'll lose by 3. So a +3 line for them. So that's a 6-point margin. If you adjust for quarterback, so you take both quarterbacks and you adjust for the number, it goes from +3 to +2. It does, no matter how you slice and dice this number should not be 3 in the direction of the Vikings. Now, the thing I say, all that thesis here, and I got to say with this caveat, but the market is not eating up 3. You can get 3 right now, and it's been there all week. So people that are smarter than us, people that do what we do better than we do it, they're not rushing to the table to bet that. Now, there can be another reason, because we're not at a mature market. This is only Wednesday. They may not be betting that because there's so much value that they want to bet 100,000 rather than 10,000. And right now the limits at a market maker is going to be, a lot lower. So they may be just throbbing at the bit, and then come the next couple of days, as those limits go higher, they're just going to slam that. And we won't have, so it's kind of one of those things. You kind of take it now and believe your number, or go against it. But I will die on this cross. Minnesota is not going to win. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. So if I have to bet against them every year or every week to realize that, I'm going to do that.
I think it's going to be a molehill rather than a mountain that you're going to have to climb, or that that you're going to die on. They say die on the hill, or maybe it's die on the cross. I don't know what the saying is. But if it's a hill,
as I've died so many ways this season, but let's just add whatever new one hasn't happened.
So optimistic. Damn.
Okay, so actually, this is interesting. While we've been on this, the line has moved for the Jacksonville to 2.5, and it's still sitting at 3 for Vikings. So for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, and I mean, as some might be aware, I mean, playoff lines, playoff markets are usually a lot more sharp out the gate than obviously earlier in the season. So I don't know, to the extent that either one of those move significantly by more than a point in either direction, I would be surprised, honestly, just because. Yeah, like you said it kind of well. So the people who either set the lines or who do we do better, or have more data to access to do this.
I don't know. I kind of disagree. I think to Seth's point, I think like once those limits, and the more and more you get into the mature market, the higher the limits can go in there. I think, I'm not saying you see anything like swing like 4 or 5 points, anything crazy like that. But yeah, no, I definitely see some more movement coming on here. And I would be really interested to see what happens. If Mike Williams is ruled out for that Jags Bolts game, I'd be really interested to see what happens there. But even this line, I do expect some movement. And I'm chomping at the bit too.
Yeah, and I don't know. I kind of agree with both of you. I think Mike Williams, he didn't practice today, so whatever that means, maybe that's why it's moving. I guess that wouldn't make sense why it's moving in the direction of LA. I mean, we saw some pretty crazy line movements. The San Francisco game opened at 6.5. So, I mean, a lot of the value has been eaten up. I just think that we haven't seen this game specifically. There's been no movement, and pretty much all the other games there's been movement. So that either means that this number is exactly right, maybe, or and would that make sense? Because if this number is right, then wouldn't you be taking +3 all day? And like, because there's 2.5, there's a little bit of margin. Like, you just take the +3. Makes me think that like let's not get small limits on this game. Let's bet as large as we can and not move that number. Now, that being said, I think that's me amateur speaking, where like I don't get to participate in those markets. So I don't know if that's even smart to do, because that means you miss out if some stupid person that's like, well, I'm not going to bet 500,000. I only have 10,000. So please give me that number. comes along and then moves it to 2.5, and then now you don't get your number. I don't at this point, to be honest, I don't care. I'm taking New York Giants +3 and probably money line as well.
Okay.
This team, this is just, they are not him. The Vikings are not him. They are not them. They are not any pronoun. This team is just, they're dead. DOA. And I think that this team is just a poor team.
Well, for as reluctant as you were on the Niners, you are what's the opposite of reluctant? You are anxious. You are like
ignorantly confident on New York Giants. That's exactly what you would call that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Ignorantly confident. Okay. You're chalking up one. Let's just. We're playing all three. I think it's relatively safe to say we're going to be able to in some form or fashion, whether it's now we're live. But so what do you think? How do you think the weekend shakes out?
2-1.
Mm-hmm. And the loss being
I think it's, man, that's tough. Let's say it's New York and San Francisco. No, you know what? New York and Jags cover, and San Francisco gets backdoored but wins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Steve, how do you feel though?
I'm gonna parlay all three of these.
Yeah.
I know. I think
I've learned my lesson. Now, take the parlay, divide it in two. Take the opposite parlay. Take the inverse where we lose all of them.
we go 2-1 and then we lose both. Trauma, baby, trauma.
It'll get you.
No. So I will say, yeah. So I will be parlaying all three of these. I feel that good about it. But to be fair, I do agree, especially in not just divisional games, but playoff games on top of that. But especially their divisional foes, the San Francisco backdoor does concern me. Obviously because it's more than a one-score game. But again, you see these guys third times in a row. It's a little tough, but I don't know, man. I just think San Francisco is clearly the better team, and this is time to turn on. So, I love the slate. I really do.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah. Me too. Seattle's a much better team than the Commanders or than Arizona. I think Niners were favored by double digits in both of those other games. All the things that we've said, it's a divisional playoff matchup. Playing them for the third time this year, like there's a lot of other factors to consider here, but barring some freak shit, I like the Niners play the most on this card.
Yeah,
and then I can see the Giants doing us a reverse backdoor favor. I can see them covering at the last end. Like scoring to cut the lead to 3 or to 4, something like that. But then losing on an onside kick, something like that. And then the Jags one, I'm again, my heart is on the other side. I want the Chargers to roll.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, if they roll though, you won't have the opportunity to get it, so it wouldn't be a loss.
I think that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Actually, no, that's not true at all. If they roll, you're going to totally be able to get this number. So never mind, you're screwed. Because if they score and then they score again, you're going to be able to get a better and better and better and better number. Yeah. So never mind. But if that happens, then just disregard. Don't take it. Because you have incentive to not bet against yourself here. So don't take it. I mean, I think one of the things I learned from doing this live is that sometimes I could go both ways on this takeaway, but sometimes not betting it is okay. Like that's, fair takeaway.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, we've done that a couple times and they've all been wins. But hey, you do what you can.
Yeah. That's variance for you. Just been bitch slapped by it all year long, baby.
We really have.
So, okay. So I'm gonna go 2-1. I'm gonna go 2-1 as well. Okay. Respectable, and I think something funny happens with the Jags game. We'll see. Hopefully, the favor of the Chargers.
I like that take.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a long regular season. Postseason's here though. It should be a good weekend of games. I'm looking forward to it. I know everyone's looking forward to it. So we'll be doing. I mean, we won't have a full on, I guess, a board meeting podcast like we have been doing, because we won't have Circa to talk about, and more than likely we'll have one, maybe two games. There's just less games being played, obviously, and the data is just it's tough to parse out more games with the teams that are going to be left.
It'll be a huge function of who's left. Depending on if can't guarantee this, but if there's somehow Vikings win this week, I presume that the model's going to pick against them next week.
Okay. One can only hope. But we'll see. All right, boys, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for us. Let's make some money this weekend. We'll see you back next week.
Let's do it. Take care.
Yep.